The new year is always a reminder of goals achieved, but also dreams postponed. Don't waste another 365 days before starting your dream business. Do it now with the help of Shopify. Shopify has helped millions of entrepreneurs, from household names like Skims and Allbirds to first-time business owners just getting started. With Shopify, you'll have everything you need to sell online and in person. Their built-in AI tools write product descriptions and headlines and help you edit product photos. Marketing is built in too. Create email and social campaigns that reach customers wherever they scroll. As you grow, Shopify grows with you. Handle more orders, expand to new markets, and do it all from the same dashboard. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/income. Go to shopify.com/income. That's shopify.com/income. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side.
Hey there, listeners. We're taking a break for the holidays, but our Monday releases will continue as scheduled. We'll be back with more true horror on January 8th. Wanted to share an episode with you in the meantime, one of our favorites. Enjoy. And hey, stay safe out there. Hello and welcome back to In Cold Pursuit, a production of the Disturbed team at Killer Podcasts. I'm your host, Doug Bailey. Here we tell the stories of those whose death left silence in their place, victims of crimes that were for years without answers, justice, or closure. In this show, we revisit the crimes that time has tried to bury, whose lives were cut short and whose killers once walked free. Listener discretion is advised. It's the fall of 1989. George H.W. is in office. The Berlin Wall is about to fall. The Autumn of Nations is in full swing around the Eastern Bloc of Europe. The world is on the cusp of change. But in Danby, Vermont, you'd have no idea. The seasons turn the leaves in their predictable hues. Life is slow, and people like it that way. George and Catherine Peacock are as much a part of that rhythm as the mountains that surround their town. George, 76, is a World War II veteran. Quiet, hardworking, the kind of man who never complains and never raises his voice. Catherine, 73, is described as warm, nurturing, a woman who always brought a dish to share and made time for her neighbors. Together, they represent an era that feels like it's fading. They live in a modest white house on a quiet street. No frills, just lived-in comfort. Bookshelves full of paperbacks, lace curtains, and photos of family lining the walls. Neighbors saw them as steady and kind, not flashy, not gossipy, just solid people built from a different time. A little hard of hearing, sure, but still sharp, still present, which is why when they didn't show up for Sunday service, people noticed. Friends of the Peacocks grew concerned. A neighbor, Jay Kidwell, noticed the Peacock's car hadn't moved and a light still glowed in the window well past dark. Something felt off. He knocked. No answer. Peering through a window, he saw George lying at the foot of the stairs. Still. Too still. Using the garage opener he found inside the unlocked car, Jay slipped through the basement door and into the house. The quiet inside was suffocating. He found George lying motionless in a pool of dried blood. Upstairs, Catherine was dead too, found in the bedroom. She hadn't stood a chance. Police arrived quickly and began piecing together the horror. George had been stabbed repeatedly, vital organs pierced. Catherine's wounds told a similar story. Sharp, deliberate, brutal. The killer had brought a blade and knew how to use it. A double-edged knife, 4 to 5 inches long, the kind that leaves clean, deep wounds. According to the autopsy, one of her fatal injuries had pierced her heart. There were no signs of a break-in. George's wallet lay beside him, his pants pockets slashed. A bloody footprint marked the stairs. Blood was spattered on both sides of the bedroom door, and yet, despite the chaos, the house was hardly ransacked. Valuables sat untouched. The television was still in place, drawers closed, picture frames undisturbed. This wasn't a burglary gone wrong. It was something else, something colder, more calculated. As you can imagine, the initial investigation is frantic. Vermont State Police canvass the neighborhood. They interview friends, relatives, anyone who might know something, but leads are sparse. No one heard screams. No one saw anything suspicious. Residents recall those early days after the murders vividly. Fear, confusion, and sorrow, mixed with an unfamiliar suspicion that began creeping into daily interactions. Doors that were once left unlocked were now bolted shut. Neighbors who greeted each other warmly now exchanged wary glances, wondering silently if the perpetrator walked among them. Children who once played freely in the yards and streets until dusk were ushered inside earlier each evening. The Peacock's murder didn't just claim 2 lives. It altered the innocence of a community that had never known this level of violence. And the Peacocks? They didn't have enemies. No feuds over the picket fence, no gambling debt to the local bookie, just 2 older people living quietly. Investigators combed the house for evidence. Fibers, hair, fingerprints, anything. DNA testing exists, but the year is 1989, and the technology is in its infancy. It's time-consuming and, worst of all, expensive. At this time, it's also often inconclusive unless there's an overwhelming amount of genetic material. In the immediate aftermath, the Vermont State Police faced a challenging scene. Despite the brutality of the murders, there were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to be stolen. The victims may have known their assailant. The community, once tight-knit and trusting, was now gripped by fear and suspicion. Neighbors recalled seeing a tan sedan in the area around the time of the murders, a detail that would later become significant. Officers would find a red stain in a nearby car, a Pontiac Bonneville belonging to the Peacock's son-in-law, Michael Louise. They collect it, label it, and file it away, but the lab reports come back inconclusive. The technology just isn't there yet. Their son-in-law became a person of interest. He had reportedly planned to visit the Peacocks to retrieve some particle board for a project, but claimed he turned back midway due to fatigue. This account raised eyebrows, especially when inconsistencies emerged in his statements. Further scrutiny revealed that shortly after the murders, Michael left his home, leaving behind letters that some interpreted as suicide notes. In these notes, he professed his love for his wife and expressed fear of being blamed for the murders. He also mentioned discarding a gun into the river, adding another layer of complexity to the case. Despite these developments, the lack of concrete evidence meant that no arrests were made at the time. The case remained cold for over 3 decades, a haunting specter of violence that hung over the tranquility of Danby. We'll be right back. You know I'm not going to let big wireless and my overpriced phone bills suck the joy out of the holidays this year. Because right now, all of Mint Mobile's unlimited plans are 50% off, I can get 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. It's their best deal of the year, and it makes it real easy for me to give my expensive wireless bill the Scrooge treatment. All Mint plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. You can bring your current phone and number over to Mint, so switching is easier than ever. No contracts, no nonsense. Longtime Disturbed listeners know I made the switch a while back, and I can't believe I didn't do it earlier. I'm saving money, I get great service, and I'm stress-free. I can't recommend Mint enough. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month or equivalent. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only. Usage greater than 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. AG1 is the daily health drink that combines your multivitamin, pre- and probiotics, superfoods, and antioxidants into one simple green scoop. It's one of the easiest things you can do to support your body every day. With the holidays almost here, it's more important than ever to be proactive about supporting your immune health. Cold weather, travel, and excessive Christmas desserts can easily throw our bodies out of rhythm, potentially threatening what is supposed to be an enjoyable time with family. AG1 helps me stay consistent and grounded amidst the chaos. AG1 Next Gen contains more vitamins and minerals than ever before, and it's clinically shown to fill common nutrient gaps. Plus, the pro and prebiotics in AG1 help support gut health and digestion, which keeps me feeling great. I definitely recommend it to anyone who wants to be at 100% this holiday season. AG1 has their best offer ever. If you head to drinkag1.com/disturbed, you'll get the welcome kit, a morning person hat, a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2, an AG1 flavor sampler, and you'll get to try their new sleep supplement AGZ for free, which has been a game changer for my nightly routine. That's drinkag1.com/disturbed for $126 in free gifts for new subscribers. Welcome back to In Cold Pursuit. Over the years, Michael Louise is questioned about the murder of George and Catherine Peacock. Not once, not twice, but several interviews. He cooperates, at least outwardly. He denies involvement. He offers another shaky alibi. He was home, watching TV, he says. No witnesses, nothing solid. But again, no physical evidence ties him to the scene without that bloodstain ID. Still, there are flags. According to multiple reports, Michael had clashed with the Peacocks in the months prior to their deaths. Sources close to the family describe the relationship as tense, strained, and at times hostile. It's said that there were arguments, some about money, others about family responsibilities. There may have been talk of a loan gone bad. We'll never know the full story. But police pin down at least one thing. He had a motive. They just don't have any proof. So the case stalls, leads dry up, and the Peacocks' murders are shelved, labeled cold. Danby, Vermont has to just go on living, and as the years roll on, the scars of that violent event fade from public consciousness. Fast forward 3 decades. New technologies have revolutionized the way crimes are solved. DNA can now be extracted from the smallest trace of blood, a strand of hair, even a skin cell. cold case units are being formed across the country. Groups of detectives tasked with breathing life into long dormant files. In 2019, the Vermont State Police launched their own cold case unit, and the Peacock case is among the first to be reopened. The investigative revival was meticulous. Detectives combed through decades-old notes, statements, and witness interviews, piecing together timelines that previous generations of investigators had struggled with. Retired officers who originally worked the case were consulted. Their memories, though faded by time, still valuable in providing context. One retired detective who initially responded to the crime scene recalled feeling haunted by the unresolved nature of the murders. "It never left me," he admitted decades later. "Every unsolved case stays with you, but some, like this one, become personal." As forensic technologies evolved, detectives recognized that cold cases were no longer lost causes. The DNA sample taken from Louise's car was painstakingly preserved, and analysts at the Vermont Forensic Lab worked tirelessly, while investigators and family members alike waited for the results on bated breath. It's May 2020, and months after the Vermont Forensic Lab received the blood sample from Michael Louise's car, the lab calls investigators back. It has a match. It's George Peacock's blood. A bloodstain found in the car of the man who had long denied even being at the house where they were murdered. The final piece of the puzzle had been sitting in the passenger seat for 33 years. The science wasn't ready, but justice is a patient mistress, and this cold case just hit a major hotspot. On November 3rd, 2022, detectives from Vermont traveled to Syracuse, New York, where Michael was now living his best life as a 79-year-old retiree. When police knocked on the door, he didn't run, he didn't protest. He just went quietly, arrested and charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. He was extradited back to Vermont to face the justice system he'd once eluded. The arrest made headlines across the region. For longtime residents of Danby, it was a moment of vindication, a confirmation of what so many had quietly suspected for decades. And for George and Catherine's remaining loved ones, it was something far more profound. Closure. Following his arrest in October 2022, a Vermont court charged him with 2 counts of second-degree murder in connection with the deaths of George and Catherine Peacock. Upon his extradition to Vermont, Louise appeared in court for his arraignment, where he entered a plea of not guilty. His defense team argued that the evidence against him was circumstantial and insufficient to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The key piece of evidence was naturally the bloodstain found in Louise's car, which DNA testing matched to George Peacock. However, the court found issues with the chain of custody, noting that the Vermont state trooper who collected the floor mat had since passed away, and no testimony or affidavit was provided to establish the chain of custody. Given these evidentiary challenges, the court ruled that the blood evidence could not be used to hold Louise without bail. Consequently, bail was set at $200,000, which Louise was unable to post. After so much turmoil, it looked like George and Catherine's killer would slip through the fingers of the law yet again. In the months following the arrest, Louise's health reportedly declined significantly. He was transferred from the Southern State Correctional Facility to a skilled nursing facility in Vermont, where he remains under 24/7 monitoring by the Department of Corrections. His defense attorney has filed motions to reduce bail, citing his deteriorating health and arguing that he poses no flight risk. The court has yet to make a final decision on these motions. As of this recording, he remains in custody, awaiting trial. His health has reportedly declined, severe enough that some speculate he may never make it to court. If he dies in custody, many worry he'll take the final answers with him. What really happened that night in 1989? Why did he do it? Was it a sudden outburst or something planned? These are the questions that linger unanswered, despite the arrest. The Peacock case isn't just about two murders. It's about how we process loss, how we carry pain that has no explanation, how families suffer when reparation feels out of reach. Imagine losing your parents as violently as the Peacocks did. Imagine learning that it's your spouse whose car is found with a bloodstain at the scene of the crime after he leaves you in a cryptic, dark note in your home. And then nothing. Though you suspect he's guilty all the while, 3 decades pass without any accountability. He attends weddings and works jobs in town. He gets to go on living while you bury your loved ones. It's a cruelty all its own. George and Catherine's daughter never gave up. She kept in touch with police, kept her parents' photos on the mantle, kept their story alive, even as time moved on. When Louise was arrested, sources say she wept tears of relief. If there's a message in this story, it's this: cold cases are not hopeless. Time may blur the details, may erase the headlines, but it doesn't erase the truth. And with the right tools and the right determination, justice can be revived. The DNA that solved this case wasn't part of some high-tech sting. It was a single stain, collected by a small-town police department doing their best. Stored for decades in a freezer, labeled, bagged, forgotten, until someone thought to test it again. And that's all it took. One sample, one test, one match. After 33 years of silence, the blood spoke volumes. George and Catherine Peacock did not deserve the fate they met, but in the end, they didn't become nameless victims. They weren't forgotten. They were fought for, and in the end, we hope they finally get their justice. To their family, we see you, we hear your story, and we honor the decades you spent fighting for truth. To their killer, if you're listening, we see you too. And no matter what happens next, your secrets are no longer yours to keep. We'll be right back. Cold mornings, holiday plans. This is when I need my wardrobe to just work. That's why I'm all about Quince. They make it easy to look sharp, feel good, and find gifts that last. From Mongolian cashmere sweaters to Italian wool coats, Quince pieces are crafted from premium materials and built to hold up without the luxury markup. Their outerwear lineup is no joke. Down jackets, wool topcoats, and leather styles that are built to last. And by cutting out middlemen and traditional markups, Quince delivers the same quality as luxury brands at a fraction of the price. It's everything you actually want to wear, built to hold up season after season. Frequent Disturbed listeners might remember that I got an organic stretch corduroy overshirt a few months back. I've been loving it. It looks good, feels good, and I'm able to layer it as we head into winter. I also just picked up the classic organic Percal gingham sheet set, and they're now the best sheets I own. Get your wardrobe sorted and your gift list handled with Quince. Don't wait. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/disturbed. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/disturbed. Welcome back to In Cold Pursuit. It's 3 days before Christmas 1992. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, the streets are dusted in snow and strung with lights. The kind of quiet suburbia that looks borrowed from a Hallmark card. Carolers hum along porches, and the air smells like pine and chimney smoke. Inside East Lampeter Elementary, students are squirming in their chairs, waiting for the day's lessons to start. Just a few more days until winter break. But as the first bell rings, something's wrong. Their teacher, 25-year-old Christy Mirak, is nowhere to be found. Christy was never late, never sick, never absent without a call. Principal Harry Goodman makes the short drive to her townhouse on Greenfield Road, thinking maybe she slipped on ice or her car wouldn't start. He knocks. No answer. He tries the knob. It's unlocked. He pushes open the door. The air inside is heavy, stale, silent. Then he sees her. Christy is lying at the base of her stairs. Her face is battered, jaw broken, mouth open in a frozen scream. Her pants and underwear are pulled down. A wooden cutting board lies shattered nearby. Her hands are clenched as if she fought hard and lost. The scene doesn't just look violent, it looks intentional. Someone posed her there, left her to be found like this. Goodman stumbles out the door and calls 911. The dispatcher notes the tremble in his voice. He isn't just shaken, he's shattered. In one horrifying instant, the holiday cheer of Greenfield Road collapses under the weight of a crime so brutal it will haunt Lancaster for decades. Christy was the kind of teacher kids never forgot. Young, vibrant, and full of enthusiasm. She had a knack for making every lesson feel like an adventure. She had graduated just a few years prior from Millersville University and had dreamed of writing poetry, traveling the world, maybe someday becoming a school principal. But all of that vanished in an instant. The attack was as vicious as it was intimate. Someone knew her. Someone had watched her, and someone wanted her to be found this way. Police swarmed the scene. There were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no murder weapon, nothing stolen, no witnesses, no motive, just chaos. The townhouse didn't look like a crime scene. It looked like a message. Some believed the killer had staged the scene, arranging her body in a deliberate, almost theatrical way. Investigators combed through every detail. Her friends, co-workers, ex-boyfriends, neighbors. But every lead resulted in a dead end. For years, the case gathered dust, while Christy's family gathered grief. For 26 years, Christy's face remained etched into a wall of cold cases. Her mother never stopped hoping. Her students, now adults, never forgot. Every few years, the case would resurface, make the local news, stir up rumors. But behind closed doors, detectives were out of ideas. They had one clue: the semen collected from Christy's body, preserved, untouched, waiting. But without a suspect to test it against, it was just DNA without a name. A silent witness with no one to point a finger at. In the 1990s, Lancaster detectives pursued Christy's case with everything they had. Dozens of officers worked the scene. They interviewed friends, colleagues, neighbors, anyone who might have known her routines or relationships. They tracked every man who'd entered her life romantically, no matter how briefly. Her ex-boyfriend was polygraphed and cleared. Door-to-door canvassing turned up no witnesses, not even a scream. Whoever did this had slipped in and out like a ghost. Forensic testing confirmed the semen recovered from the crime scene belonged to an unknown male, but CODIS, the national DNA database, came up empty. There was no match, no priors, no fingerprints to compare it to. Every year that passed, the case grew colder. The file grew thicker, and Christie's mother, her siblings, her friends kept waiting. Then, in 2018, everything changed. Investigators turned to a tool that was still controversial, but undeniably powerful: genetic genealogy. They uploaded the unknown DNA profile to GED Match, a public ancestry base. It didn't give them a name, but it gave them a family tree. A web of distant relatives, some as far as fourth cousins. From there, genealogists and detectives worked backwards, building the tree one branch at a time. And there he was. Raymond Rowe had been a staple of Lancaster nightlife. Slick, charming, with a perfect smile and a vinyl collection to match. No one suspected him. He wasn't in Christie's social circle. He had no criminal record. He'd never been on the suspect list. But when detectives covertly collected a used water bottle and gum from a charity event Rowe had performed at, and compared the DNA to the semen found in Christie's body, it was a match. Not just close, exact. 13 out of 13 genetic markers. The odds of a coincidence? 1 in 920 octillion. That's more people than have ever lived. In June 2018, police knocked on Rowe's door. They didn't have to twist his arm. Confronted with the evidence, Raymond Rowe didn't deny it. He didn't fight. He didn't even ask why. He just crumbled. In court, he pled guilty to first-degree murder, rape, and tampering with evidence. The courtroom was packed. Some sobbed. Some stared holes through the man who had slipped through their fingers for more than 2 decades. Rowe apologized, but not with any real clarity. "I can't imagine what you're going through," he said to Christie's family. "I apologize." What he didn't say was why. There was no explanation, no justification, no hint of what twisted his mind to violence that morning in 1992. Investigators believe Rowe likely followed Christie, possibly stalked her. He may have entered through an unlocked door or posed as a delivery man. What's chilling is that he didn't just kill her, he destroyed her. The rage, the precision, the staging, it was sadistic. And then he went on with his life. Played weddings, took selfies with fans, raised money for kids, slept, ate, smiled. All the while, the memory of Christie Mirac decayed behind him, unavenged, unmourned by her killer. At his sentencing in 2019, Christie's brother took the stand. He looked Rowe in the eye and said, "You are the monster in our nightmares." He told the court how his family had lived with a wound that never closed, a wound that throbbed each Christmas season. When Christie's chair sat empty, her gifts unopened. There were birthdays she never had, students she never taught, poems she never wrote. Raymond Rowe stole more than one life that day. He took futures, he took peace, he took the innocence of a town that had once believed monsters like him didn't live next door. It's terrifying to realize just how ordinary killers can look. Christie's murderer wasn't a shadowy figure in an alleyway. He wasn't a drifter or a serial predator flagged in multiple states. He was a DJ, a community fixture, the kind of man who wears a tux, to someone else's wedding and makes them feel like a star. After his conviction, Raymond Rowe petitioned the court to have his sentence reduced. His claim? That the search warrant used to obtain his DNA violated his rights. He argued that the police shouldn't have submitted his DNA to ancestry databases without consent, even though it was collected from trash he voluntarily discarded. In 2024, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court rejected his appeal. The evidence was sound. The process was legal. The conviction stands. But the petition itself reopened old wounds, a reminder that evil doesn't vanish just because it's locked up. Sometimes it comes back, knocking again, wearing a different face. Rowe was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. No trial, no jury, just a quiet, guilty plea in exchange for avoiding the death penalty. Some called it mercy, others called it cowardice. But for Christie's family, it was something else entirely. Finality. Not closure, not really. Nothing closes when your daughter is buried by 25. But it is something. A name, a face, a life that would rot behind bars instead of dance beneath disco lights. Christie finally had her justice. The silence that haunted her case had been broken by science and by time. Her story is a sobering reminder that even the most savage killers can live unnoticed among us for years, even decades. But it's also proof that time doesn't always bury the truth. Sometimes it reveals it. Piece by piece, cell by cell. And when it does, it demands to be heard. That's why we tell these stories, not just to remember the lost, but to remind the living, the past never sleeps. And justice, however delayed, is never denied its voice forever. Thank you for joining us for this episode of In Cold Pursuit, a Disturbed true horror production from Killer Podcasts. I'm your host, Doug Bailey. Our producer is Elizabeth Flood. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson. Executive producer Noah Founts. For more chilling stories, behind-the-scenes content, and early access, support us at patreon.com/disturbedpodcast. Until next time, friends, stay safe out there.